Hi, it's Thursday, and I'm going to show you everything that you need to know for Thursday and Friday of this week. First off, today is just the Roman numeral analysis worksheet. It's a worksheet, it's not a classwork, so you don't need to turn it in. And in fact, if you don't have printing capabilities, this might be one of the most simple ones to participate, even though you don't have that. It's okay. I'm going to show it to you. We're going to work on it together, and then we're going to move on. It's just a way for us to get some of the skills under your belt that you'll need next week. And then finally, we're gonna walk you through your steps one more time of how to turn in your scale composition classwork. This is scales only, treble clef and bass. You're only needing to know 2 different keys for tomorrow. I'm not giving you the answers. I'm not spoon feeding it this time, but the way that you submit this is the same exact way that you turned in yesterday's assignment. And so since this is your Thursday video 4, you can always go back to video 3 and watch the last 2 or 3 minutes or so. I'm going to show you today how to turn this in on the computer one more time. After that, we'll be at the end of week 2 of distance learning, and I'll probably start cutting back on including that in videos because I'm going to assume you have the hang of it, and you guys have found more ways than I've thought of, so your creativity is helping me. All right, we need the Roman numeral analysis worksheet, and I have brought it all the way over here. Here you can see 4 different musical keys, and each one contains 2 chords. So here would be 1 key. Here's the chord number 1 and chord number 2. Now I'm not talking about Roman numerals right now, but these chords are played simultaneously, right hand and left hand of the piano player. And so we're going to be adding the Roman numerals directly in the center because it applies to the chords above and below. The treble clef and bass clef simultaneously play the same chord. Each measure 1 contains 1 chord, played by the pianist's right and left hands. Wow, I really put information on here. This means that for each key, we have 2 chords to analyze. Each key first uses the 1 chord. All right. I recommend that for your first step, we complete the chart using our musical alphabet. And really, once again, when we write in these letters, we can kind of disregard the sharps or flats that are in your key signature because we're just focusing on the letters. So while they do exist, we're not going to stress about it. Finding the size for you here. So it's going to be a little bit odd, but after letter A, we're going to start our 2 chord on B. Our 3 chord would start on a C, and we're going to fill this in all the way across. Now we have the root for each chord in this key. If you want to be thorough, we have an F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp in this key. So you could have those sitting on your 3 chord, your 6 chord, and your 7 chord if you really want. So we need our musical alphabet knowledge. I'm going to go ahead and change colors. The root of this chord is the 2nd space from the bottom in the treble clef. We know that our word face makes up the spaces, and so therefore being on the 2nd space means that the root is an A. That same letter should be true for the bass clef. We know that our bass clef, the spaces are all cows eat grass, going up, so our lowest space, just like we hope to find, is letter A. This tells us that we really truly are looking at a 1 chord. So we're going to write our Roman numeral 1 right there in the center, and we're labeling both of these chords. Back to our musical alphabet. We can look at how far away from the 1 chord we've gotten, or we can think musical alphabet. The lines of our treble clef are every, good, bird, does. We've made it all the way up to this letter. The lines of our bass clef, we know it's going to be the same letter, right? Our bass clef lines are great, big, dogs. And so we can confirm that we're looking at that same letter there. The root of this chord for measure 2 is the letter D, and therefore we can confidently write our chord symbol. We're looking at a 4 chord here. So we've gone from a 1 chord to a 4 chord. So both hands have shifted upwards and they're playing that higher chord. The distance they've traveled is they left 1 and they've arrived at chord number 4. I'm gonna cover up this one so that you can see fully and not have just my face covering up. So keep in mind that if you have this paper printed out, we are now working on the right-hand side key of D flat major. Yes, D flat is labeled accurately here, but when we write in these letters, I'm not gonna worry about it. After the letter D, the root of the 2 chord is going to be an E. The 3 chord is going to have a root of F. G for the 4 chord. Back to A for 5. The 6 chord has a root of the letter B, and the 7 chord will start on the letter C. I've already told you in the instructions, each key first uses the 1 chord. Let me leave that with just a whole bunch of red around it. I don't know if you can see it because of my face being normally pasted right there, but it's true that they all start on 1. And that is because in this key, the placement and the placement on the treble and bass clefs are on that letter. And so the letter D, or in this case D flat because of our key signature, is the root of both of these, which get played at the same time. Now it's time for us to find out what's happening here. I've tried to mix it up just a tiny bit, and what you're looking at is that the right hand has gone up and the bass clef has gone down, and this can totally happen with this still being the same chord. So let's check out what I'm talking about here. Musical alphabet. Our lines give us every good bird. Starts on the middle line, it has a root of B. You already know your answer, right? Which chord is it? You can write it now if you have it all figured out. The bass clef. Instead of going all the way up 6 steps, we've actually gone down. The lines of the bass clef. Great, big. We are still starting with a root on the letter B. We are looking at a 6 chord here. And while the hands move apart, because the root is the same letter, they still get the same chord symbol. I'm going to scoot everything from the bottom of the page up, and we're going to start fresh. If you have your paper printed out, this is the bottom left-hand corner, key of G major. Each key first uses the 1 chord. I'm going to prove it to you. Every lowest line, good, second line. Lowest line, G of great. We'll add our chord symbol in the middle. Our 1 chord starts on G. Oh, I left out the chart. Our 2 chord will start on letter A. A comes after G. And we'll fill it out. Nice and simple. Time for our chord of measure 2. On the treble clef, we're looking at the lowest space. We know that the word face is the spaces labeled as we ascend, and so I'm going to leave that letter right there. What letter comes before G? Because we've descended, we've gone down below the lowest line. We have a root of F for measure 2. We are looking at the chord number 7, V-I-I. We'll leave it right there. And pause if you need to see this with more detail. I have to repeat dragging the right hand side of your paper over so that it's not covered. Let's remember to do our chord chart first. After the letter E comes the letter F. And I'm not worried about sharps or flats. There would be a flat on B, a B flat. There would be a flat on E, which is already written for you. And there would be a flat on A. So that's the 4 chord and the 5 chord would have those symbols if you want to add them. We always start on a 1 chord, but I'll use The same system, confirming yes, that's an E, confirming yes, that's an E because of all cows eat grass being our spaces. All right, so I'm gonna show you a slightly different way of looking at this now because I peeked ahead and I already figured out what chord we want. And one way that we can talk about this, let's use purple. If this is our 1 chord on the line, our 2 chord would have a root just above. And you can see that we've directly walked up from what would have been 2 if it existed, and we've actually reached 3. Yes, we can say, what letter is this? It's letter G. We can say, what letter is this? It's letter G. That means it's a 3 chord. But you can also check the distance by seeing how far up have we gone. We've only gone up 1 skip, and that takes us from 1 skipping up to 3. This completes our Roman numeral analysis worksheet, and this is everything you need to know to start thinking about, oh, I'm looking at chords. I know what key I'm in. What Roman numerals should I write below? I want to prepare you that the 4 and the 6 symbols are the ones that I confuse, and you may have that same weakness that I do. Let's go ahead and remind you that tomorrow your scale composition is due, and it's going to be on the stream, just where all your PDFs are for the entire week. So it's a classwork grade, and I suggest that you take a picture of your scale composition classwork to submit it. Be sure to click the button Turn In or Hand In when you submit it. So let me show you. This is from yesterday's video. When you're turning in a classwork, you want to make sure that the picture is added right here. You can add a picture by choosing a file. I suggest you email it to yourself and save it to your desktop. If you're working in the Classroom app on your phone, you want to choose Add. You want to say From Camera and take a nice clear photo, and it'll pop up right here, and then you can turn it in. That is how we turn in work here. I understand that sometimes the most complicated part of doing this work could be copying out the pages that you don't have the ability to print. So if you just write E flat major and draw beautiful scale, then don't worry about your key signatures. Honestly, really. Second key, this is the key of B major. Treble clef scale, bass clef scale, quarter notes, solfege is labeled. That's great. I'm really not concerned about looking for perfect 5 sharps on the treble clef and bass clef. That's not our learning goal right now. So don't worry about it. Good luck. I'm looking forward to seeing these tomorrow. And you are almost done with week 2. Have a great weekend, and I'll check back in with you soon. Bye.